Thanks. Hey, everybody. Excited to be with everyone today. Hope everyone is having a good week. I'm really excited to be doing this today. I'm on here with a good friend of mine and someone that I've gotten to know over the last couple of years in the industry, and I respect her and was actually able to go out to her office not too long ago when I was at a Nexstar meeting because they're like 15 minutes away from there. But anyways, we are joined with the awesome Katie Donovan. She is the CEO and founder of Camp Digital, one of, if not the most respected marketing agency in the trades. And so I feel honored to have her on here today, and we're going to leave you with some good stuff. We're going to leave you with some actionable stuff that you can take away in your business that's going to help you out. So, Katie, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry about the weird background. I don't have curtains in my I'm sitting in a hotel room in California at the moment, so a little bit of a weird back. I keep trying to line up my head so it looks like I've got a halo over my head.
Oh, well, no, yeah. You're good. I appreciate you. So real quick, and then I'll let Katie maybe you can do an introduction, but Katie's actually out at Google. So when I was in your office, Google was there. Katie has a really close relationship with Google, but I guess Google Live 2025 happened yesterday, and she said it was the best one that she thinks she's ever been to, and there is a lot of stuff coming. And so I actually want to touch on some of that today because I think that is important. We need to make sure that when shit hits the fan, in my opinion, it's like we just need to be prepared for what's coming. So anyways, Katie, maybe you can give a little introduction into who you are.
Well, I think you said it. Katie, Camp Digital, the founder and CEO of Camp. We are a agency that is exclusive to the trades. So all we do is the trades, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, roofing, pest control, those kind of things. And so it really gives us an opportunity to stay very focused. And I will give you this so you understand about Camp. We actually think of ourselves more as a technology company that does digital marketing, as opposed to just a digital marketing company, which after sitting through Google Marketing Live yesterday, I think puts us in a great position because I was just showing you the slide before we started. The way they started the entire presentation yesterday was with a slide that says completely reimagined. And I was like, holy cow. So it was a wild, wild day. I have pages of notes from the event. We were together with Google for about eight hours yesterday between sessions and meetings. And I don't think I've ever heard anything crazier in my entire time doing marketing.
Okay, so hear that for a minute. The first slide they showed you was search completely reimagined.
It's what's coming. Let me show it to you because I'll throw it on here so people can see it. The total reimagining of search. This is how they started the event.
A total reimagining of search. So I want to dig into some of that a little bit. By the way, anyone who's on here, you can actually chat in. If you look kind of towards the bottom right of your screen, there's a little area that you can chat in. We love it when people participate. And if you have any questions throughout this, we are happy to answer those. So, Katie, let's hop in. When you say that, I mean, you've been to a lot of these, right? You've been to a lot of these Google Lives. Why was it your favorite one?
It was the most transparent they've ever been. Right. So, I mean, I was saying to you beforehand, I love that this happened with the title of the presentation being When It's the Fan, Be Prepared. This is exactly what we're talking about. Like, how do you be prepared when Google, who 83% of people still go to Google first for consumer transactions, it's still heavily Google. In our space, it's even higher than that. When Google decides they're going to change, like flip the script, how are we prepared? How do we stay ahead? And the reason I got so excited when I was talking to you this morning, besides the fact that I drink a lot of these, is primarily because I think for the first time, we have a real opportunity to make a land grab. It doesn't matter if you're a PE or an individual chuck in a truck. you have the opportunity to get in front of this. This is literally the gold rush in my mind of like the 1800s going out to California. If you do a couple of these things and you can be nimble and you can be fast, you can be prepared. You can be getting leads. You can be doing things. You know, I'm a little too caffeinated, but one of the reasons I was so excited about doing this with you guys is because we see when you are prepared, the immediate effects. The story I just shared with you earlier was a client we have in common who I was going through his calls and they were not getting answered in a timely manner and people were hanging up. So I said to him, do you have a Chiirp campaign set up to follow up with all those customers that didn't, whether they hung up in 30 seconds or 3 minutes? And he's like, I don't, but I will now. I had him reach out to you guys. I don't know if he built the campaign or you guys built it for him, but he's already seeing returns on that campaign. He's already capturing customers that he would have lost because they didn't follow up with those customers that hung up. So those are kind of things if you prepare.
Yeah, that's awesome. The missed call text message is one of the most effective campaigns in Chiirp for people on here, whether you use Chiirp or whether you use something else. If you have a software where you can send out a text message right when you miss a call, it's super important because we're spending thousands of dollars to generate leads and things get busy. And, you know, unfortunately, we're going to miss some calls every once in a while. And you have to have an automation in place because if you put yourself in the consumer shoes, if you needed a service right now and you called a company and they didn't answer and they didn't reconnect with you right away, what are you going to do? Chances are you're going to go somewhere else. So, Katie, we actually have a PE group that we both work with. I'm not going to name who it is, but they are getting really deep into data, and all of their brands using Chiirp are running the abandoned call campaign, the missed call text message. And they did a data research with 17,000 missed calls, and their Chiirp campaign is booking at about 33 to 34%. They put a booking link in there so people can book directly through the link, but that's pretty crazy to be able to pick back up 33 to 34% of missed call revenue that you may have just missed out on.
And this is what I mean about like what got me so excited about Google. I gave you an example of a single point, single trade location. You give me an example of a PE. It works the same. And that's with AI and with the reimagination of search. We've all got a chance. It's almost like it's re-level setting the playing field. I don't have to have a 900-person call center like that one would to get back to 17,000 calls. And this little guy in California, he's not little, but the smaller guy in California I work with that's an independent doesn't have that. But with Chiirp, and I'm feels like I'm plugging you, but I'm not. I'm excited about the technology. But with Chiirp, that guy in California was able to act like that PE, and he is making money off of it. And that's just what gets me so excited about the stuff I saw yesterday and what you guys are doing. I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's cool. So can you dig in a little bit? I mean, you mentioned to me that they released 90 products. Was it 90 products? Was it mostly AI focused?
Three buckets that they were focusing on. One is kind of a lot of the generative AI stuff, right? As you can imagine, that was on the tip of everyone's tongue. That's the slide they led with, Search Reimagined. The second was really about multimodal. So like images, texts, text messages, text on the content on the site, video. And then the third was all agentic, agent driven. And if they said agentic one more time, I mean, they would have said it a million times at the event. Everything is going agent driven. We are expecting these behaviors, right?
What does that mean? What does agentic mean?
Agent driven, like what Chiirp. I mean, you guys are agentic, right? So
it's like yeah, okay.
I expect now, like how fast consumer behavior is changing is enough to make me want to go move into the woods. Like I can't even keep up on this, right? But you almost when you guys first came out, I imagine you got a lot of backlash about like the automation and how customers will receive it. It has already come full circle where I expect it. If I miss a call, I expect that you're going to follow up with me. Like I'm almost mad if you don't. I invested 3 minutes and I hung up the phone. I better get a text message back.
Yep.
I don't book any of my stuff anymore personally. I use Reserve with Google. So my haircuts, my dinner reservations, everything I do automatically, agentic through agents, right?
So Reserve through Google, is that basically like Google's Chat GPT, where it not only finds information for you, but it actually does it?
Yep. So I can say
it's like GPT operator.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So I will, I did this the other day. It was when you were in town and our Google reps were visiting us, and I want to take them out for dinner. I'm also an old person. So like dinner has to be done by like 7:30 for me, because I go to bed at like 8:30. It's ridiculous. But I'm like, hey, I want to get a reservation at a restaurant somewhere near Excelsior, because it's on the lake in Minnesota, for 6 people, sometime between 6 and 6:30. And it found the restaurant, it booked the reservation, and then it sent me back the confirmation. I didn't even necessarily know where I was going. Yeah,
That's was crazy.
Yep.
So let's do this. I wanna give people an actionable right now that they can go and implement into their business. So the first one I want to touch on, and then I'll have you come up with one that you want to come up with. But you talked to me about images and videos, and what's coming with images and videos. Can you explain what's coming? And then can you explain, like, give people an actionable tip that they can go and implement in their business?
I'm glad you picked that one first, because we already do it. We take a photo of every job we do, and then we do nothing with those photos. What Google was talking about yesterday was the second thing they talked about, which is that multimodal, multiple ways. I'll give you the example because this blew my mind. If you go to a restaurant, you and I go to a restaurant, and I take a picture of my meal, Google's going to deconstruct that picture to know what ingredients were potentially in that dish. So say, for instance, and you're never going to see this on my plate, but there was tofu on that plate. And somebody later on searches restaurants that have vegetarian options. Even if you didn't put vegetarian options in your menu or your description, Google's going to know from that picture that you have vegetarian options and serve your site. What does that mean for us in the trades? I am looking for professional tradespersons. It's going to look at the pictures of your vans. Are they clean? It's going to look for pictures you load of booties on the checks. That's going to tell me it's a professional business, right? It's going to look for branding. Shout out to our friends over at Kick Charge, right? It's going to look for the branding on the trucks and say, yes, this is a professional business. You didn't put in there you're a professional business. It was looking at the images. Another great example, actionable item, is if you're starting to load those images and someone looks for a Mitsubishi mini split, right? Or a Daikin mini split, and you took a picture of that job, it's going to, you didn't put in there that you do Daikin. You didn't put in there that you specifically offer that service, but it reads the fact that it's a Daikin mini split, and you are more likely to rank. And we're already doing it.
So I want to understand fully here. Does that mean like people have to be more careful about the pictures that they're taking and uploading to their site?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Great point. Like, I don't want to have that, please don't take a picture of your truck in a car accident and like post that. Right. But, or even, when we first started doing this with a couple of our customers, one of my customers, and he'll know when he hears this presentation who he is, sent me a picture of basically just a back, just black water, right, coming out of try not to use the right terms, but out of a shower on the mainline black backup, and it was really disgusting. He's like, what do you think of this photo? I'm like, don't post that. That's not what people want to see, right? But it's who you're trying to attract, the customer you're trying to attract, and using those photos. But the beauty is we already have them. I mean, if you go to 10 jobs a day in your business across your, 2 or 3 guys, you have 10 photos. Pick one.
Yeah. Where should they post them? Is this stuff that they're actually like uploading to their website, or are they going to Google on their Google My Business profile and uploading the photo there? Like, where
Google Business Profile is a great spot to start, because you're putting all your data in there so they know. Facebook, if Google's doing it, Meta's doing it, right? So get it on your Facebook account. Another great job in city name or county name, right? Plus state. And then, yes, get it to your website. Getting the content on your site is going to be huge. And this is where I'm talking about, like, you don't need to be this. I mean, PEs can do it, right? They have the resources to do it, but you're a single guy. You get home, you're having dinner at 7:00 because you finished your 4th job for the day and it's your business. You can load that while you're sitting there waiting for the microwave to heat up your food. You can get that posted on Google Business Profile, right? You can get that posted on Meta. Just start getting the content out there. It is so huge.
Yeah. Is there any softwares that automate that process? Like you could upload a photo to a software and it will automatically post it to any of the channels that you want to post it to?
Yep, I think there's a couple. I mean, I think that's kind of what PinParrot has done with a lot more like of the data of the location as well. So a lot of companies like PinParrot. I think you guys work with PinParrot, or it's
yeah.
Yep. So that's a great one. The beauty of it to me though is you can have a PinParrot, and if you have the resources, Godspeed, go get it. But you don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Like literally, I mean, I could show you how to do it from your phone, Justin. It is literally something you could do in the 2 minutes it's taking your meal to heat back up in the microwave. And it's so important. They were talking yesterday about like the depth. It's so far beyond text. It's going to be super, super important. I think Karen just said what company, something Parrot. I think it's called PinParrot.
I think it's called PinParrot. Don't quote us on that. But I actually know it's called PinParrot. I don't know how to spell it. So
all the lights just went out. I was sitting for too long and the lights are off in my room now. It's kind of funny. So sorry.
Good. Thanks for your question, Karen. So this is good stuff. All right. Next thing I want to touch on. You said something really interesting to me. You said that they brought up a slide that said AI was this in 2023, it's this in 2024, and it's this in 2025. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm so excited. This actually came from a major, one of the top like financial investors out there, and he said this at CES just this last year, and he said 2023 was about the wow of generative AI.
2023 is the wow.
Yep. 2024 is the how. Like, how do I do it?
How do I do it?
And 2025 is the now. And what he said was the shift to AI first marketing requires agencies and brands to rethink their workflow, their partnerships, and their strategies. It was really like, if you think about that speed to change, wow, AI is coming. It's going to be really cool. Gosh, I wonder how I do it. Oh my God, I got to be doing it now.
Yep. Yeah, I love that. 2023 is the wow. 2024 is the how. 2025 is the now. So everyone on here, actually, before I touch on this, I want you to touch on, and I'm going to follow it right up, but AI is coming quicker than the cell phone came. Can you touch on that real quick? And then I want to talk about something, because I want people to understand that AI is awesome. It's not something you have to be scared of, but we need to be prepared. We've got to learn how to work with it and not work against it. And it can actually do some amazing things for us. So before I touch on that, can you touch on how Google basically said AI is, I don't know what you said, being used, or I don't remember the word.
The adoption of AI is faster than the adoption of a cell phone, which may not seem like a big deal, but I am old enough to know better. And I remember living when my phone was connected to the wall, right? And if you think about it, I have literally forgotten my kids in the car before I forgot my cell phone in the car. You don't go anywhere without it now, and it's almost insulting to call it a phone. Right? Like, it's my schedule, it's my alarms. It woke me up this morning to make sure I got up for my meetings. It's my social media. It's everything now. But the adoption of that was so quick. I mean, if you think about when it really flipped, it was less than 20 years from the bag phone to everyone carrying a phone in their pocket. Less than 20. It's wild. I think they actually said it was like 16 years all in from start to when it really hit its apex. This is happening faster than that. And it is wildly changing consumer behavior. For example, on my side of the house, they were talking yesterday that queries and how people are searching has completely changed already. Used to be 2 to 4 keywords, I think it was, made up over half the search. Now they're seeing keywords generally hitting around 10, because people are getting more specific as they're chatting. The keywords growing 5+.
Is this keywords on Google specifically, or are they tracking this on like Chat GPT or like, I guess Google's?
It's generative AI and it's Google specifically, but it's the same behavior everywhere. If you think about it, I used to search plumber near me, right? Plumber near me, 3 to 5 words. Now I'm going to search things and they're seeing this at 1.5 times the rate, which is extraordinary if you think about it. But things like plumber near me who can fix a leaky faucet, right? It's more specific. Or plumber near me who is locally owned. We see that one a lot too. People are starting to think, they're adding things. And as the queries get longer, intent can be better understood and we can serve better results to those customers.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you. So the queries are getting longer. Can you give the audience a actionable takeaway, maybe something that you're going to be teaching your clients how they can use that to their advantage? So if people are asking longer questions, how can the contractor actually use that to their advantage in their marketing?
See earlier comment about photos, right? And the reason why I say that, and I promise because I agree with you, we should do takeaways, but the query I just gave you that I just came up with on the top of my head was plumber near me who can fix a leaky kitchen sink. Even if I didn't optimize my entire website for kitchen sinks, but I have an image of the kitchen sink I fixed last week, Google's going to pick that up. They're going to see that. They're going to help you rank. And that's where we don't have to be smarter than everybody, right? We can just be a little bit more hustle than folks. I think to me it was really this multimodal conversation that Google was talking about yesterday is really dramatic. There was over 100 billion Google Lens searches so far this year. 100 billion people doing search by taking a picture of it and saying, find me someone who can help. If it's a leaky faucet, we'll stick with that in the kitchen. I go, find me a plumber, and I take a picture of that. And you've loaded a picture of fixing a kitchen sink. Who's going to show? You are.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this. Let's say, all right, I live in American Fork, Utah. So let's say that I have this happen. Let's say I take a picture and I say, find me someone that can help with this. Well, let's say there's 2 plumbers near me in American Fork, Utah, that both have pictures uploaded to their Google My Business profile that show that they do plumbing. How would one rank above the other?
There's a lot of things that go into that. And obviously I want to preface it with, I'm not Google, but
okay.
They're going to look at like the location that you booked it, right? Like, so is it close to you? Do you have reviews from close to you? If you both have the same picture, they're going to look at references on your site, but I'm a big fan of receipts. So let's see if I can get that picture to show. There you go.
100 billion visual searches already this year. 100 billion.
100 billion. I'm a big fan of receipts. Let's see if I can get that one to show here. Isn't that crazy?
With more than 100 billion visual
searches. Same one, just another one. I just was shocked. Here it is. And then 1 in 5 lens searches show commercial intent. So 1 in 5 of those. Sorry, I'm not even supposed to be doing this. You can't see it.
No, you're good. I'm following you.
I'm a big fan of receipts. I think everyone's from the show me state, like everyone's from Missouri, like prove it.
Yeah.
But it was wild to think about those. So go back to the photos, adding that content. And again, I guess I have always been a fan of the reason why I love the trades is because Aaron Gaynor, he finished 10th grade, went into plumbing. The man's got and I hope he doesn't get mad, like a $50 million business now.
Shout out Aaron Gaynor.
Right. But he is I think about him more than I should because he is why I love the trades. With hard work, hustle, dedication. If you haven't heard his story, my God, you should. It's he told his story in a room one time, you guys, there was about 750 people. It was at a freedom event. And he told this story and there wasn't a dry eye in the house. That's why I love the trades. So when I find things like this, that the next Aaron Gaynor can do, or Aaron Gaynor, because he's got a marketing team, can do to like help promote their business and take a leap forward, I get way more excited than I should. Like one of the stats you and I were talking about, and I've been talking about this for a while, also came from Google, obviously a Google girl, but it's that only 30% of people convert that day one. 29% of people are day 2 to, they say 7, I think it's 2 to 14. What are you doing to follow up? You can double your business without spending another dime with Google. Everyone, Google's so expensive. Fix it yourselves. Like you guys can set up again, I don't mean to plug Chiirp, but set up a Chiirp campaign to follow up the customers that you did answer, but didn't buy from you. Oh, I got to check with my wife. They didn't check with their wife. They're calling somebody else, right? Like, or I was just price shopping. No one price shops a water heater for fun. No one's like, I'm just curious what a new furnace is going to cost. Like, no one, I don't think in the history of ever has ever said that. So if you set up a campaign and follow up with them, you just doubled almost 30% day one, 29%. I'm a public school girl. To me, that's the same number. You just doubled your leads without investing in leads again.
Yeah, and I love that you're touching on this because this goes back to the point you were talking about where it doesn't really matter whether you're a smaller company or a bigger company. If you can implement some of this stuff and get ahead of the game, then you can still compete, right?
So AI is leveling the field. I sat next to an agency at lunch yesterday who was like 7 times my size, probably bigger than that. And their CTO was sitting next to me. If you ever see, I don't think you'll ever see this because they're way too big, but he was just bitching, me. They're trying to put us out of business, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, they're not. They're leveling the playing field. And this big monster agency was sitting there at lunch at Google, by the way, bitching. I couldn't believe he was doing it. Like there's people around, right? And it's Google. I don't want them to hear me. Bitching about like all the stuff Google's doing instead of realizing like they're laying the playing field, leveling the playing field. Small Katie at camp, I now have the same abilities that this big guy does. And it's going to be about who can hustle, who takes advantage of it, who starts implementing these things. It's going to be about strategy going in, like what kind of campaigns are you running? When do you follow up with those customers? I mean, I don't give a shite. Sorry, I normally swear like a sailor. I don't care if you are a 3-man shop and your wife's the one answering the phones, or a 300-person shop and you have a 10-person CSR with the world's greatest training. Like Al Levy's been in there, trained your team, all these great things, right? This is the equalizer.
Yep.
And it is going to be a huge, it's a gold rush. It is literally a gold rush.
So I love it. No, I love this. This is awesome. So I just posted basically the stats from that Google study. 59% of leads spent a week or less in their journey. I'm going to focus on that one. So 30% spend a day or less. 39% spend 2 to 7 days. So like you said, 29%. Follow-up there can literally double the amount of conversion you get, your follow-up from 2 to 7 days. And the reason that's really interesting is because Chiirp's been collecting a lot of data from what's working and what's not working from companies that use Chiirp to follow up on open estimates. And we give recommendations on how aggressive they should be with their follow-up. And we've actually adjusted, and we are now giving recommendations for the contractor to be a little more aggressive their first 7 days. So I'm going to plug everyone into something really cool right now, whether you use Chiirp, whether you use a competitor, or whether you want to somehow do this manually in your business. This is a specific follow-up strategy on open estimates that we are seeing crazy data from. So text number 1 should happen 1 hour after the job. And it says, hey, first name, this is company name. You should have received an email from us with your estimate. Please let us know if you have any questions. The reason you reference that you sent the estimate in an email is because a lot of times we forget to send it or it goes to spam. And I can't tell you how many times people respond and say, hey, we never got the estimate. The second touch point happens 1 day later. Hey, first name, this is company name, checking in on the repairs we quoted you on. Are you ready to get them scheduled? The third touch point comes 3 days after the job. So we've got 3 touch points only 3 days after the job. Hey, first name, this is company name. We're following up to see if you have any questions or if you're ready to move forward with the estimate we provided. The fourth touch point comes 6 days after the job. Hey, first name, this is this is first name over at company name, touching base on the estimates we left you a few days ago. Do you have some time to review them together? And then text number 5 comes 8 days after the job. So we have 5 text messages over an 8-day period. And the increase in conversion that we saw when we implement, because initially we were only doing maybe 2 or 3 touch points over the first 8 days. And the increase in conversion that we saw from getting more aggressive that first week was pretty crazy to see.
We call it PO or RO. I want a purchase order or restraining order in those first 7 days. Like, right? They're shopping other places. That whatever didn't fix itself, right? That you didn't just magically have the light stop flickering. Someone's either in there and beat you to it because they're more aggressive. But again, I mean, just think about that. 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points in 8 days. If you had to do that manually, how many CSRs would you have to add? And instead, you combine that with a Service Titan campaign or a House Call Pro campaign or whatever CRM you're using that's sending those emails.
Yep.
And people are expecting it. It's where the market has changed. It is how we have evolved. And again, I think it just doesn't matter that you're a 1-person shop or a 100-person shop. It's the great equalizer.
I agree. All right. I want to touch on something else we talked about, because I think that this is, you mentioned that there was 90 products that were released at Google Live. Can you maybe touch on, I'm actually just going to go, can you touch on one of those that was exciting to you and an actionable that people can take away on how to implement that into their business?
There's a new product called VEO, VEO. Some people probably already played with it, but you can actually create images and video content. And again, I think that what this does is you don't have to go out and get a whole agency to do stuff anymore, right? You can download your branding book that you got from your whoever did your logos and things, and you can add stuff. But it also lets you kind of, if depending on how much you want to engage, learn a little bit more. You could load your customer list in and say, tell me, like, create a profile of these houses, addresses, for instance, and it's going to start to create kind of a, here's what your customer kind of looks like. Here's the house that they would live in, right? And you can create an image then that is attracting customers like your customers. It's called, the overall product's called Flow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Is it VEO or is it Flow?
VEO is inside Flow. So if you go to Google Flow, I think it's called Google. Let me see, Flow. Lab, it's under labs.google in their FX tools. I'm just looking at it right now. Can I share this with you guys? I don't even know. Yeah, hang on. You'll love this. Hang on. This is wild. If I can share this with you. Flow. Window. Entire screen. We're going to get crazy for a second.
All right.
This is that Flow product. You can see it here. And you can start loading content in. You can create a new project where you load your customer list in and say, create a house that represents these of my best zip codes, or tell me information about my consumer. You can start going back and forth. And then these are just some of the projects. You can look at what other people have done. Not that you're ever going to do anything this weird, but this is someone who put a train in with the right people in the background, being a window seat, being in a passenger. These are all AI generated. Oh, it's a little weird one, but AI generated campaigns.
Wait, this is AI generated?
All of this you're looking at is AI generated. That is not a real image of an ocean.
So how is it generating this? Is it according to the upload that you were just talking about?
Yeah, you can upload or you can create prompts. So what I like about coming in here and looking at this particular stuff called the channel flow, so you can look at it. You can actually look at the prompts as well.
Real quick, Aaron, my marketing guy, I hope you're watching this real quick. All right.
This is a prompt. Let me show here. So this prompt was a high angled shot in 35 millimeter film, quaint wooded cottage nestled deep in the dense forest, realistic lighting filters, right? So I mean, it shows you the prompts that people wrote to create that. So you can really start to reverse engineer it in your own brain. It's a model wearing a shifting, withering
Well, how
light.
does someone use this in their contracting business?
I would use this to try and figure out, like, again, some of your, if you want to add images to your site, for instance, you want a person, you don't have to do a whole photo shoot anymore. You don't have to spend all that money. You could put in there, take this customer, this address list, or even, I don't even know if you have an address list. You could say, take the average house and zip code 55318 and create me a backdrop I can use for a marketing campaign in it with a house, right? And then you can put your van on top of it in that house. Leave an example. Really cool. This is a call Pristine. It's one of our clients.
By the way, anyone on here, if you have any questions about this, please chat a minute. I'm just telling you right now, Katie's the person to answer them. So anyone that has any thoughts or questions, please feel free to chat those.
Well, and I don't want this to feel overwhelming either. Like, this is why I like the lab feature. Like, I don't know where to start, right? But I can, if you come in here and start reading some of these prompts, you'll get a sense of what you need to do and you can play around. But even if you don't start here, right? Even if this feels like too aggressive and I think this is what happens. We start talking about AI and people's brains explode, right? Like that's an AI generated. It's crazy to me.
That's nuts. Is this free?
Yes. Well, there is a paid version now as well, but there's a free version. Yep.
Okay.
It's wild, and you can play in there even on the paid version for a month for free to try it out. But what the biggest thing to start in my mind is like, what's going to impact? I always start with, where's my revenue coming from first, right? That's a great place to start. Where am I getting revenue from? And in my opinion, I'm getting revenue from the calls that are coming in. So how do I follow up with those calls? Where can I be? We're talking about, when the shit hits the fan kind of mentality here. How do I prep for that? The images and uploading those images are already stuff that you have, right? So you can get there and start adding some of those kind of things. Have campaigns ready, right? Maybe this isn't it. Maybe this is too much, but I can have a campaign ready. Listen, we're going into warm season. If you haven't already hit it, how many people here are listening to this have a campaign for the first time it hits over 90 and doesn't get below 65 at night?
Wait, so I'm glad you're touching on this, because this is one of the things I wanted to touch about on the webinar as a whole, is like when shit hits the fan. Like let's say a contractor all of a sudden just gets blasted with a heat wave. I want you to continue on that thought. What advice do you have that they can do to make sure that they are prepared and that they can turn that into revenue?
I think we all know what some key triggers are in our business, both good and bad. I think Ryan just posted something today that had like words down the center and like the good and the bad. I loved that, right?
Yeah.
We have to think about good triggers. It just hit 90 degrees and it didn't get below 75. That means the AC system was cranking for 24 hours. Happy dance, right? Like, not to wish breakages on everybody, but I do every day. Like, I hope that shit breaks. That's a good thing for us, right, in the business. What about the bad? What about when it stays between 65 and 75 for 3 weeks straight and I can't get a phone call to save my life?
Yeah.
None of us don't know those two scenarios exist. Yeah, we all catch amnesia about those scenarios existing. What campaigns, whether it's with Chiirp, whether it's with a Service Titan Marketing Pro email campaign, outbound call center with humans, whatever it might be, what are the two things we can have pre-built, right? And then also from my side, what am I willing to do on my cost per acquisitions for that? Because at some point, things just don't make sense, right? So putting plans in place for when things both good and bad occur and knowing those thresholds ahead of time. I think that drives me.
I actually really like this, because we'll get a lot of customers. One of the things you can do through Chiirp is you can send out a marketing promotional campaign. And a lot of times we'll have people reach out to us because they're slow. And it's like, we need a campaign like built like right now. Like, we need to do this. We need jobs on the board, which is fine. I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just saying, like, I like your idea of coming up with the different scenarios beforehand, pre-building the campaign. And that way, when it happens, you're ready to go, as opposed to being in that panic mindset where it's probably not going to be as effective and you've already lost out a little bit. Okay, listen, the 4th of July is coming. We all know it's coming.
the day before the 4th of July, we're going to get calls from customers, although we try and proactively bring it up. Like we're already talking to people about it with, hey, I should really do a 4th of July campaign because it's going to be really hot and people are having, right? Like we can plan for these things. And I always call them little insurance policies. If you're selling generators and you're anywhere in the Atlantic seaboard and you don't have a campaign for the first time a hurricane goes through, just sitting there waiting, like, are you really selling generators or are you hoping to sell generators? Like you're not really selling generators, and you may never deploy it. You may never need it. Like you might have just great weather the entire time for the trades. You're getting plenty of business. Your techs are busy. It doesn't hurt you to have that campaign. It didn't cost anything. It's sitting in the Chiirp. It's sitting at Camp Digital. It's just sitting there. But you got to have those campaigns ready to go because to your point, it'll be slow and I'll get a call and it'll be 11 in the morning. They're like, gosh, I'm slow. Well, if I'm just starting to build that campaign now, I'm not going to get that thing out until 2.
Yep.
And by then my day is gone. My techs have gone home.
Yep.
They're on LinkedIn looking for new jobs or Monster or whatever, Indeed, right? Like let's have those campaigns. So by 10 in the morning, when I know I'm slow, I can say, hey, are we executing this campaign?
Yep. I love it. This is good stuff today. I'm actually loving this conversation. What did Tyler ask? Is Google VEO Flow something that can be useful to create 30-second reels for social media?
Yeah, he's a genius. That's super, super smart because it's crazy and as weird as you want to get with your brand. Like what is it's really understanding what your brand is and how you want to message your brand. If you've got a fun brand, like that pristine I was showing you guys, pros in pink. I hope they don't get mad at me showing that, but I mean, they're the pros in pink. Everything they should do should be pink, right? Like it's pops. I don't know anyone else who has their color combinations in their market and their stuff pops. People know that brand. It's stuck in my brain. Their URL is, it's everything is tied together and I love it. So you can add that in there. You could add if you have a brand guideline book, you can add that in there. You can play with it. And again, because I don't know what a prompt engineer is, like what the heck, you can go in and read what other people are prompting, start getting your brain juices flowing and be like, oh yeah, and play with it a little bit. But you're right, Tyler, and you could do untrained with that product in an hour, build a social media campaign that would probably have taken agencies a month to get back to you, if not a couple weeks, and a couple $1,000s. Again, you're going to hear me saying this a million times. That's what's leveling the playing field. And it's fun. I mean, it's Chiirps, it's VOs, it's other AI agent tools, Lace AI, these products that are out there that can start to do those things that are going to really make a huge impact.
Yeah. Is there any other social media platforms on top of, Google and Facebook that you're seeing contractors really get some traction with? And
we're starting to do a lot of experimenting with Reddit. We were pushing Amazon for a while. That Amazon just can't get it together. We've constantly kept our eye on other things out there, but the challenge is really you got to skate to where the puck is going, not where the puck is. And if you look at some of these other,
listen to that again. That's deep. You got to stay where the puck's going, not where the puck's at.
Yeah, that's my oh my gosh, why I just brain farted, a hockey player. Oh my gosh, I'm not a Minnesotan if I don't know this.
Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky is a Wayne Gretzky quote. Yeah, but it's like someone was asking me the other day about Pinterest, and I said unless your customer is a 16 to a 26-year-old female, that's not if you're selling makeup, gosh, get on Pinterest. If you're selling water heaters, not where you need to be right now. But we are seeing some pickup in Reddit, not a ton yet, but some pickup in Reddit. TikTok a little bit. The consumer is not a homeowner for the most part within TikTok. You get some good impressions, but they're not the impressions that you need probably in the next 10 years, just because the age and the demographic that's on TikTok. But Meta is still huge. If you're not on Meta, it's center of the target because they tend to be a little bit older. They tend to be homeowners. As a matter of fact, YouTube was talking yesterday about YouTube versus TikTok versus like Facebook Reels and how those customers do not overlap with who's on what. TikTok has that really kind of young demographic. Facebook Reels has an older demographic, but I'm a Facebook Reels person. I'm in the older demographic. I'm not going to TikTok afterwards, right? So Meta is still, and Meta's Instagram, Meta's Facebook, Meta Reels. Those are all on the Meta platform.
Awesome. All right. I have one other thing I want to touch on before we finish up here. You hear a ton about price increases these days. Do you have any advice, or what are you telling the contractors that you're working with in price increases and how they can approach that? And even if it's just the mindset behind it, do you have anything you can touch on there?
We have a huge, I think people are going to hate me for saying this, but there's kind of an opportunity in the space that we're in because it's an incredibly low interest, very high intent space. Right. So what I mean by that is before you were in this space, Justin, you were selling software, right?
Yeah.
Did you know how much a water heater cost?
No.
Do you know how much an AC unit cost?
No.
Did you even know what
I'm not the smartest when it comes to all that, to be
Nobody is though, right? Like I tell I was talking to one of my mom and dad actually, and they were having an electrical outage every time their heat pump came on because we finally got some warm weather and it was blowing their circuit. And I said to my mom and dad, I'm like, oh, your heat pump is blowing the circuit. And my mom said, no, the AC is turning on. I said, yeah, your heat pump. She goes, no, it's the AC, right? Like I had to explain to her, right? Yeah. So outside the industry, people don't know. So we do have this opportunity to educate people in the space. So people do want to know price, but a lot of times you can solve that with how you approach the price. Like, hey, for $89 or $110 or whatever your price is, I'm going to send a technician in a truck who's going to present you with solutions in writing that are going to help those estimates. It's going to help you understand exactly what's going on. He's a certified trained technician who's fully insured and background checked, right? So I can easily kind of calm that down. That doesn't even have to let them know about the price increase. They didn't know that if they put that damn thing in 6 months ago, it was $1,000 cheaper.
Yep.
We do.
It's true. Yeah.
And we're pooping our pants.
Yeah, that's true. To us, it's common knowledge, but to the average person, they're not as familiar with that.
No, the big challenge is going to be on the pricing is going to be around anything you can do at Home Depot, right? Because they can see like a water heater versus a water heater. Why is it $900 at Home Depot and you're charging me $1,900? And that's where, again, we have to get in front of them to say, let me present you with options. Home Depot didn't take into account that I got to take it down into a basement, that it's a gas hookup. The Home Depot unit's 40 gallons, going to last you 5 years. This one's, 75 gallons, going to last you 10 years, right? So that's where we got to put our sales hats on.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Katie, I genuinely appreciate you coming on here. I think you shared some really valuable stuff. I'm going to personally go play with VO Flow. That's awesome. But thank you for coming on here. For everyone in the audience that showed up, I just want you to know we genuinely appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this with us. Hopefully you guys found some stuff that was beneficial for you and your business. In just a minute, there is going to be a poll that pops up. One of the questions is if you're interested in learning more about Camp Digital, click here. If you're interested in learning more about Chiirp, click here. And then if you're interested in learning more about both, click here. We would love the opportunity to connect with you if that is something you're interested in. Katie, any other crazy stuff you want to leave the audience with before we go?
I'm just such a nerd. I can't even help it. I apologize. I nerded so hard. Between yesterday, my brain exploding. I mean, it was 8 hours and some of the sessions were 10 minutes because they were launching so much. So my brain was exploding. And then I topped that off, like I said, with a few monsters this morning. So my apologies if you guys got too much of the nerd energy coming at you, but it's a wild world.
I personally love it. The last thing that I'll say before we go is I've been doing a lot of research on AI. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts on AI. And the one thing that seems pretty consistent is what they're saying is if you want to compete and you want to continue to grow and you want to continue to advance in your career, whatever that is, the main differentiator is people that learn how to use AI in whatever they do.
And start with where your revenue is. AI is way too big to try and tackle. None of us, no matter how smart we think we are going to learn all about AI. If you want to know where to start to where either your highest revenue is or your biggest leaky bucket is.
Wow. Let's touch on this real quick. We got a few more minutes. What do you mean by that? Start where your revenue is.
What's the number one job an HVAC company does? Installs.
Yeah.
How do I use AI to help me identify or sell more installs? You nailed it with a couple of chirps. Where's my biggest leaky bucket? It's my call center. How do I use AI to help me with my call center?
Wow.
Someone told me a stat the other day that their membership customers were worth 300 times the average value, 300 times the average value of their other customers. Not sure how they got that stat, but that was wild to me. That's a revenue opportunity. What am I doing with my AI to help manage and truly love on my members? For me, for camp, it's like, how do I make sure that I'm staying in contact with my customers? How do I optimize campaigns? So find where your biggest revenue opportunities are or your biggest leaky buckets and start there. That's a great place to start for AI.
Damn. All right. She just dropped that knowledge right there, right before we left. I like that. I'm going to use that myself. So, all right. Thank you a ton, Katie. As always, it's been awesome to connect with you. Appreciate you. And thanks for coming on, even though you're out at Google.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks, Justin.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everybody.